Hello, my name is Isaac, and this is my informative speech. Imagine slipping on a pair of sneakers that can track your steps, tighten, loosen, and even match the color of your outfit, and so on and so on. But basically, sneakers have been on this reality for decades now, and I think by the time 2030, maybe we could get to something crazy. Sneaker technology has been moving forward, but it started off with a Chuck Taylor Converse All-Stars in 1917 to now us being at the Nike Air Max for them self-lacing themselves. But sneakers are no longer about sports footwear because their market's worth $75 billion, and it shows the growth from high-tech gear and influence to how we dress ourselves. But sneakers aren't just something you can put on your feet. They represent culture, identity, sometimes even status. But culture carries meanings, and sneakers carry meanings because they show how you reflect yourselves. A quote from Elizabeth Samuelhack. She's a creative director at the Bata Shoe Museum. She says, "Sneakers are at the intersection of athletic performance, cutting-edge technology, and style, making them one of the most influential products of this modern era," which basically means out of everything that has been around in the modern era, from recently being discovered to already having discovered, sneakers being around for a while have been the most influential to her, at least that's what she's saying. But basically, the shoes you wear on your feet can say a lot about you. I'll be showing how sneakers evolved from them being made of rubber soles and canvas to them now. And I'm going to explain the fusion between fashion and sportswear and streetwear culture and so on. But first, we need to look back at the origins of sneakers. The first sneaker people put on their feet is called the Klim soles. These are the first sneakers people put on their feet made in Germany. The soles are made out of rubber, and the material at the top is made of canvas. These were one of the first sneakers people put on their feet. They didn't care how they looked. They just whatever the job done. Now we'll see what sneakers turn into today. Today being, well, I guess the most notable and modern high-tech shoe probably current to this day would probably be the ones I said earlier, the Nike Air Max. You see that fancy look on modern high-tech. They self-lace themselves, which is pretty cool. And I think it's one of the only shoes to do that currently right now. But basically, the origin of sneakers started off with the plimsolls, and then which were made in the 1813. And then in 1917, the next biggest shoes, probably the Converse All-Star, which were probably the most, I wouldn't say influential, but they probably have a timeless design. They're still worn to this 100 years later till today, the Converse All-Star. But yeah, they're probably, I wouldn't say the most influential, but I can't explain the word, but I'm just skip it. But then they're mainstream. Then the early century, which is the 1900s to like 1930s, focused on durability and not really like athletic performance, which Converse, when in 1920s, were big in the NBA, which was the basketball, which gave them a really big fan base. They weren't really meant for playing in, so shoes started developing, creating shoes you could play in for brands like Nike, Reebok. So in the 20th century, since all these new brands are coming in, it really changed the game of how shoes were being made. They're being made differently for athletic performance, not just some Converse which were not made for athletic performance, which really hurts you bad. But in the 80s and 70s, shoes with air embedded soles were being released by brands like Nike, Reebok, and Adidas, which really gave these players or people doing any sports, for some of marathon runners and NBA, gave them performance enhancements by their feet. Some of these shoes being banned in their sports, but then in 1990s, a Reebok released a shoe with it's basically, it was self-inflatable. There's a button on the tongue of the shoe, which made it self-inflatable for a custom fit, and these shoes were also game-changing for sports that they were in. And these shoes that I'm talking about right now, the Reeboks, were bought a lot because shoes had influence back then. It was these Reeboks being worn by an NBA player named Dee Brown, selling these out. And for now, currently, they go for a lot of money just because of the influence they had. And then in the 2000s, Boost cushioning was released by Adidas, and those just basically gave the soles super soft, so they made your feet more comfortable and you had a lot more energy while walking. And then in also the 2000s, Nike started releasing carbon fiber plates to make you run faster, and those really broke records for marathon runners and distance. But basically, technology made shoes lighter, faster, more comfortable, and that's not even what transformed them. I'd say what transformed sneakers the most would be culture. Sneakers gained a lot of influence, probably started around the 1990s by an NBA player named Michael Jordan. He debuted his Air Jordan 1s, which were these black and red high-top Jordans that just spread crazy around everywhere. Everyone wanted to buy them. They retailed at like $40, and now they're going up to at least thousands. But they were banned in the NBA, and that's what really changed the sneaker game forever. Everyone wanted to get sneakers. Everyone thought they were cool. Whoever had them were cool. It basically gave you status. And then in 2000 through 2010, hip hop and streetwear gave sneakers even more influence and more of a cultural identity. By seeing your favorite artist wear these sneakers, it made you want to buy them because of their influence. Seeing them in music videos, and then sneakers started making collaborations. Like big brands like Nike started collaborating with other big brands, doing collaborations with each other, like Adidas, Nike. That's also made more influence and cultural identity. Working with big fashion designers like Virgil Abloh, or working with big brands back in the day like Supreme. Basically, we see how sneakers evolved from plimsolls to performance evolved, athletic driven gear. And now I guess they're all that, but they're also cultural statements as well. The journey shows how designs, technology, and culture can just be much bigger than a shoe. And basically, sneakers, they're not just shoes, they're history, innovation, and it shows how designs really evolved from then to now, and how people really changed influentially because of a sneaker that someone that they really like wore, and how much value they brought. So thank you for tuning in, and that was my informative speech.